Okay, today we continue the Samyutta Nikaya. Today is the 19th of July. Come to the 6th Samyutta, Brahma Samyutta. We come to 6.12. That's what I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha on Mount Vulture Peak, not long after Devadatta had left. Then when the night had advanced, Brahma Sahampati, of stunning beauty, illuminating the entire Mount Vulture Peak, approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and stood to one side. Standing to one side, referring to Devadatta, he recited this verse in the presence of the Blessed One. As its own fruit brings destruction to the plantain, bamboo and reed, as its embryo destroys the mule, so do honors destroy the scoundrel. That's the end of the sutta. So, plantain plant is what we call the banana plant. So when the banana plant gives forth the fruit, people harvest it and chop down the banana tree. So the fruit destroys the banana plant. Similarly with bamboo and reed. So this is that honors destroy the scoundrel. Honors, that is fame, is for a monk is very dangerous. That is why later we'll come across one Samyutta, Labha Sakkara Samyutta, which is about gains and fame, offerings and fame for a monk is extremely dangerous. So here, because of fame, Devadatta destroyed himself. 6.13. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling among the Magadhans at Anda Kavinda. On that occasion, the Blessed One was sitting out in the open, in the thick darkness of the night while it was drizzling. Then when the night had advanced, Brahma Sahampati approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him and stood to one side. Standing to one side, he recited these verses in the presence of the Blessed One. One should resort to remote lodgings, practice for release from the fetters. But if one does not find delight there, guarded and mindful, dwell in the Sangha, walking for alms from family to family, faculties guarded, discreet, mindful. One should resort to remote lodgings, free from fear, liberated in the fearless, where terrible serpents glide, where lightning flashes and the sky thunders. In the thick darkness of the night, there sits a monk devoid of terror. For this has actually been seen by me. It is not merely hearsay. Within a single holy life, 1,000 have left death behind. There are 500 more trainees, and 10 times a tenfold 10. All have entered the stream, never returning to the animal realm. As for the other people who remain, who to my mind partake of merit, I cannot even number them from dread of speaking falsely. That's the end of the sutta. So here, this Brahma Sahampati praises the monk who dwells in remote haunts. And this part where he talks about this first part about remote haunts, the translation in the Pali Text Society is also very beautiful. I read for you. Seek ye the lonely haunts remote from men. Practice the life of liberty from bonds. If there ye come not by your heart's desire, dwell with the Sangha, mindful and controlled, seeking your alms among clansmen, house to house, prudent and heedful, guarded as to sense. Seek ye the lonely haunts remote from men, from fear released, in fearlessness set free, where dreadful serpents glide, and lightnings roam on high, and gods doth thunder in the night, the blinding blackness of the night. There sits the monk, rid of the bhikkhu, rid of all flesh-creeping fear. So, devas, when they see monks practicing like that, living alone and having no fear, and they are also full of respect. This Brahma Sahampati could have been ascetic in a previous life. So he talks like that. Then the last part, he says, within a single holy life, people who have become a monk, 1,000 have left death behind. That means 1,000 have become arahants. And many have entered the stream. And then those who do merit, that means those who are not Arya, they do merit, that means supporters of the Buddha. He says, cannot number them, that means they will go to heaven also. 6.14. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi. There, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus, bhikkhus or monks. Venerable Sir, those monks replied. The Blessed One said, monks, once in the past there was a king named Arunava, whose capital was Arunavati. The Blessed One, Sikhi, the Arahant Sammasambuddha, dwelt in dependence on the capital Arunavati. The chief pair of disciples of the Blessed One, Sikhi, were named Abhibu and Sambhava, an excellent pair. Then the Blessed One, Sikhi, addressed the monk Abhibu. Come, Brahmana, let us go to a certain Brahma world until it is time for our meal. Yes, Venerable Sir, the monk Abhibu replied. Then monks, as quickly as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm or draw in his extended arm, so the Blessed One, Sikhi, Arahant, Sammasambuddha, and the monk Abhibu disappeared from the capital, Arunavati, and reappeared in that Brahma world. Then the Blessed One, Sikhi, addressed the monk Abhibu thus, give a Dhamma talk, Brahmana, to Brahma and Brahma's retinue, and to Brahma's assembly. Yes, Venerable Sir, the monk Abhibu replied. Then by means of a Dhamma talk, he instructed, exhorted, inspired and gladdened Brahma and Brahma's retinue and Brahma's assembly. Thereupon Brahma and Brahma's retinue and Brahma's assembly found fault with this, grumbled and complained about it, saying, it is wonderful indeed, sir. It is amazing indeed, sir. How can a disciple teach the Dhamma in the very presence of the teacher? Then monks, the Blessed One, Sikhi, addressed the monk Abhibu thus, Brahmana, Brahma and Brahma's retinue and Brahma's assembly deplore this, saying, it is wonderful. It is indeed, sir. It is amazing indeed, sir. How can a disciple teach the Dhamma in the very presence of the teacher? Well then, Brahmana, stir up an even greater sense of urgency in Brahma and in Brahma's retinue and in Brahma's assembly. Yes, Venerable Sir, the monk Abhibu replied. Then he taught the Dhamma with his body visible, and with his body invisible, and with the lower half of his body visible, and the upper half invisible, and with the upper half of his body visible, and the lower half invisible. Thereupon monks, Brahma and Brahma's retinue, and Brahma's assembly were struck with wonder and amazement, saying, it is wonderful indeed, sir. It is amazing indeed, sir. How the ascetic has such great power and might. Then monks, the monk Abhibu said to the Blessed One, Sikhi, Arahant, Sammasambuddha, I recall, Venerable Sir, having made such a statement as this in the midst of the Bhikkhu Sangha. Friends, while standing in the Brahma world, I can make my voice heard throughout the 1,000-fold world system. And the Buddha said, and the Buddha Sikhi said, now is the time for that, Brahmana. Now is the time for that, Brahmana. While standing in the Brahma world, you should make your voice heard throughout the 1,000-fold world system. Yes, Venerable Sir, the monk Abhibu replied. Then while standing in the Brahma world, you recited these verses. Arouse your energy, strive on, exert yourself in the Buddha's teaching, sweep away the army of death, as an elephant does a hut of reeds. One who dwells diligently in this Dhamma Vinaya, having abandoned the wandering on in birth, will make an end to suffering. Then monks, having stirred up a sense of urgency in Brahma and in Brahma's retinue and in Brahma's assembly, just as quickly as a strong man might extend his drawn-in arm or draw in his extended arm, the Blessed One, Sikhi, Arahant, Sammasambuddha, and the monk Abhibu disappeared from that Brahma world and reappeared in the capital Arunavati. Then the Blessed One, Sikhi, addressed the monks thus, Monks, did you hear the verses that the monk Abhibu recited while he was standing in the Brahma world? We did, Venerable Sir. What were the verses that you heard, monks? We heard the verses of the monk Abhibu thus: arouse your energy, strive on, exert yourself in the Buddha's teaching, sweep away the army of death as an elephant does a hut of weeds. One who dwells diligently in this Dhamma Vinaya, having abandoned the wandering on in birth, will make an end to suffering. Such were the verses that we heard the monk Abhibu recite while he was standing in the Brahma world. Good monks, it is good that you heard the verses that the monk Abhibu recited while he was standing in the Brahma world. This is what the Blessed One said. Elated, those monks delighted in the Blessed One's statement. That's the end of the sutta. So, you see this pair, the Buddha, Sikhi and his disciple, it was too early to have their meal, so he thought, I still got a lot of spare time. So both of them flew to the Brahma world. And monk Abhibu was asked to give a Dhamma talk. So when he gave a Dhamma talk, the Brahma Devas were unhappy. They thought, how can the teacher is around, how can the disciple teach the Dhamma? Then the Buddha asked him to show them something. Then he made himself sometimes visible, sometimes invisible, and sometimes half of the body visible. So they were amazed how his psychic power is so great. You see, for him to make them see this, that means his psychic power is much greater than them. He can, in a way, control their mind so that they see what he wants them to see. So they were very impressed. Then the monk Abhibu said, but this is nothing. I remember I have mentioned to the Sangha that standing in the Brahma world, my voice, just speaking normally, can be made audible to the thousand-fold world system. And then Buddha asked him to do that. So he just talked normally, and 1,000 world systems could hear his voice so clearly. So this shows how powerful the Arahants are. 6.15. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Kusinara in Upavattana, the sal tree grove of the Malans, between the twin sal trees, on the occasion of his final Nibbana. Then the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Now I address you, monks. Formations are bound to vanish. Strive to attain the goal by diligence. This was the last utterance of the Tathagata. Then the Blessed One attained the first jhana. Having emerged from the first jhana, he attained the second jhana. Having emerged from the second jhana, he attained the third jhana. Having emerged from the third jhana, he attained the fourth jhana. Having emerged from the fourth jhana, he attained the base of the infinity of space. Having emerged from the base of the infinity of space, he attained the base of the infinity of consciousness. Having emerged from the base of the infinity of consciousness, he attained the base of nothingness. Having emerged from the base of nothingness, he attained the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Having emerged from the base of neither perception nor non-perception, he attained the cessation of perception and feeling. Having emerged from the cessation of perception and feeling, he attained the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Having emerged from the base of neither perception nor non-perception, he attained the base of nothingness. Having emerged from the base of nothingness, he attained the base of the infinity of consciousness. Having emerged from the base of the infinity of consciousness, he attained the base of the infinity of space. Having emerged from the base of the infinity of space, he attained the fourth jhana. Having emerged from the fourth jhana, he attained the third jhana. Having emerged from the third jhana, he attained the second jhana. Having emerged from the second jhana, he attained the first jhana. Having emerged from the first jhana, he attained the second jhana. Having emerged from the second jhana, he attained the third jhana. Having emerged from the third jhana, he attained the fourth jhana. Having emerged from the fourth jhana, immediately after this, the Blessed One attained final Nibbana. I'll stop here for a moment. So here you see the Buddha, to attain Nibbana, he went through one by one, all the jhanas up to the 8th jhana, then cessation of perception of consciousness, and then down all the 8 jhanas to number 1, and then after that number 1 up to number 4. And from number 4, as soon as he came out of number 4, immediately entered Nibbana. And the Blessed One attained final Nibbana. Simultaneously with his final Nibbana, Brahma Sahampati recited this verse. All beings in the world will finally lay the body down. Since such a one as the teacher, the peerless person in the world, the Tathagata endowed with the powers, the Buddha, has attained final Nibbana. And the Blessed One attained final Nibbana. Simultaneously with his final Nibbana, Sakadeva Raja, who is Lord of the Devas, recited this verse. Impermanent indeed are formations. Their nature is to arise and vanish. Having arisen, they cease. Their appeasement is blissful. These 4 verses, normally we chant. Anicca vata sankara upada vaya dhammino upajitva nirujanti te sang upasamo sukho. This is the one. And the Blessed One attained final Nibbana. Simultaneously with his final Nibbana, the Venerable Ananda recited this verse. Then there was terror, then there was trepidation, when the one perfect in all excellent qualities, the Buddha, attained final Nibbana. When the Blessed One attained final Nibbana, simultaneously with his final Nibbana, the Venerable Anuruddha recited these verses. There was no more in and out breathing, in the stable one of steady mind. When unstirred, bent on peace, the one with vision attained final Nibbana. With unshrinking mind, he endured the pain, that the quenching of a lamp was the deliverance of the mind. So this is how the Buddha entered Nibbana. Now we come to the 7th Sangyutta, Brahmana Sangyutta. Discourses concerning the Brahmins. Here, this Brahmana does not refer to the holy man, but refers to the clan of Brahmins, priest clan. Originally they were priests, now no more. The first sutta, 7.1. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, the wife of a certain Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan, a Brahmin lady named Dhananjani, had full confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. Once, while the Brahmin lady Dhananjani was bringing the Brahmin his meal, she stumbled, whereupon she uttered 3 times this inspired utterance. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the Blessed One, the Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one. This one in Pali would be Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. This can be said to be one of the mantras we can use to a meditation object we can use to keep our mind from wandering. Whenever you're not doing anything, you just chant Namo Tassa. At the same time, you are like praising the Buddha, at the same time you're keeping your mind from running away. And this was said, the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan said to her, for the slightest thing, this wretched woman spouts out praise of that shaveling ascetic. Now, wretched woman, I'm going to refute the doctrine of that teacher of yours. And she said, I do not see anyone Brahmin in this world with its Devas, Mara and Brahma, in this generation with its ascetics and Brahmins, its Devas and humans, who could refute the doctrine of the Blessed One, Arahant Sammasambuddha. But go, O Brahmin, when you have gone, you will understand. Then the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan, angry and displeased, approached the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. Let's stop here for a moment. It seems this Brahmin, because he was not a follower of the Buddha, and sometimes his friends come to his house, they are also Brahmins, but his wife was a follower of the Buddha. And since his wife was always saying Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa, he felt a bit embarrassed because his Brahmin friends also did not like the Buddha probably, just like him. So that's why when the wife stumbled and said Namo Tassa again. He got angry. So he said he wanted to go and argue with the Buddha, prove the Buddha wrong. When they had concluded their greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and addressed the Blessed One in verse. Having slain, what does one sleep soundly? Having slain, what does one not sorrow? What is the one thing, O Gautama, whose killing you approve? And the Buddha said, having slain anger, one sleeps soundly. Having slain anger, one does not sorrow. The killing of anger, O Brahmin, with its poisoned root and honeyed tip, this is the killing the noble ones praise. For having slain that, one does not sorrow. When this was said, the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan said to the Blessed One, Magnificent Master Gautama, magnificent Master Gautama, the Dhamma has been made clear in many ways by Master Gautama, as though he were turning upright what had been turned upside down, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go for refuge to Master Gautama, and to the Dhamma and to the Bhikkhu Sangha. May I receive the going forth under the Master Gautama. May I receive the higher ordination. I'll stop here for a moment. Here it is quite surprising because this guy, he had a lot of anger towards the Buddha. So he came to ask the Buddha. It was like a kind of riddle. He thought the Buddha would not be able to answer. What should you sleep? What should you slay? So when the Buddha says you should slay anger, then on the one hand, when he came, he had a lot of anger. So when the Buddha mentioned kill anger, he thought probably that the Buddha could read his mind. So he was so impressed by the Buddha. And he not only took refuge with the Buddha, he even wanted to go forth as a monk under the Buddha. One thing about Indians, religion is very much a part of their culture. Unlike us Chinese. Chinese business is very important. But Indian, they value religion a lot. That's why when they see monks, they are full of respect. Then the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan received the going forth under the Blessed One. He received the high ordination. And soon, not long after his high ordination, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute, the Venerable Bharadvaja, by realizing it for himself with direct knowledge, in this very life entered and dwelt in that unsurpassed goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the household life into homelessness. He directly knew, destroyed his birth, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. And the Venerable Bharadvaja became one of the Arahants. It's the end of the sutta. So you see, generally, for the Buddha's disciples to become an Arahant, this is the standard phrase that is soon, not long after his high ordination, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute. So that's why the Buddha praised dwelling alone, because when a person dwells alone, he has to, in a way, he has to cultivate diligently, because in the deep forest, sometimes there are a lot of spirits around. If the monk is lazy, the spirits will come and disturb him. So he has nothing else to do, nobody to talk to. So he has all the time undistracted attention to meditate. 7.2. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. The Brahmin Akosaka Bharadvaja the abusive, heard. It is said that the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan had gone forth from the household life into homelessness under the ascetic Gautama. Angry and displeased, he approached the Blessed One and abused and reviled him with rude, harsh words. Stop here for a moment. You see, these Brahmins, they have their own religion, so they don't like the Buddha. And when they heard that one of their fellow Brahmins had gone forth, this fellow was very angry that the Buddha converted one of these Brahmins, so their Brahmin clan has become smaller, less people. When he had finished speaking, the Blessed One said to him, What do you think, Brahmin? Do your friends and colleagues, kinsmen and relatives, as well as guests come to visit you? Sometimes they come to visit Master Gotama. Then, do you then offer them some food or a meal or a snack? Sometimes I do, Master Gotama. But if they do not accept it from you, then to whom does the food belong? If they do not accept it from me, then the food still belongs to us. And the Buddha said, so too, Brahmin, we who do not abuse anyone, who do not scold anyone, who do not rail against anyone, refuse to accept from you the abuse, the scolding and tirade you let loose at us. It still belongs to you, Brahmin. It still belongs to you, Brahmin. Brahmin, one who abuses his own abuser, who scolds the one who scolds, who rails against the one who rails at him, he is said to partake of the meal, to enter upon an exchange. But we do not partake of your meal. We do not enter upon an exchange. It still belongs to you, Brahmin. It still belongs to you, Brahmin. So the Buddha says, you've given me all that anger, I don't accept it, you take it back, it belongs to you. And he said, the king and his retinue understand the ascetic Gotama to be an arahant, yet the master Gotama still gets angry. And the Buddha said, how can anger arise in one who is angerless, in the tame one of righteous living, in one liberated by perfect knowledge, in the stable one who abides in peace? One who repays an angry man with anger, thereby makes things worse for himself. Not repaying an angry man with anger, one wins a battle hard to win. He practices for the welfare of both his own and the others. When knowing that his foe is angry, he mindfully maintains his peace. When he achieves the cure of both his own and the others, the people who consider him a fool are unskilled in the Dhamma. And this was said, the Brahmin Akosaka Bharadvaja said to the Blessed One, magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent Master Gotama, in the same way. The Dhamma has been made clear in many ways by Master Gotama, as though he were turning upright what had been turned upside down, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go for refuge to Master Gotama, to the Dhamma and to the Bhikkhu Sangha. May I receive the going forth under Master Gotama. May I receive the higher ordination. Then the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan received the going forth under the Blessed One. He received the higher ordination, and soon, not long after his higher ordination, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute, the Venerable Bharadvaja became one of the Arahants. So this is another sutta, shows how this Brahmin so fast, after arguing with the Buddha, he can just become a monk. It's interesting how the Buddha refuted his anger. He was so impressed that he became a monk. 7.3. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. The Brahmin Asurindaka Bharadvaja heard. It is said that the Brahmin of the Bharadvaja clan has gone forth from the household life into homelessness under the ascetic Gotama. Angry and displeased, he approached the Blessed One and abused and reviled him with rude, harsh words. When he had finished speaking, the Blessed One remained silent. Then the Brahmin Asurindaka Bharadvaja said to the Blessed One, you are beaten, ascetic, you are beaten, ascetic. You have lost. Then the Blessed One said, the fool thinks victory is won when by speech he bellows harshly. But for one who understands, patient endurance is the true victory. One who repays an angry man with anger, thereby makes things worse for himself. Not repaying an angry man with anger, one wins a battle hard to win. He practices for the welfare of both his own and the others. When knowing that his foe is angry, he mindfully maintains his peace. When he achieves the cure of both his own and the others, the people who consider him a fool are unskilled in the Dhamma. When this was said, the Brahmin Asurindaka Bhararaja said to the Blessed One, "Magnificent Master Gautama, magnificent." In the same way, he took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and also asked to go forth. And a few years later, he also attained Arahanthood. So it's quite impressive how these Brahmins, once they see the light, see the truth, they can go forth. 7.8. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. On that occasion, milk rice with ghee had been set out for the Brahmin Agika Bharadvaja, who had thought, "I will offer a fire sacrifice. I will perform the fire oblation." Oblation is offering. Then in the morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking bowl and robe, entered Rajagaha for alms. Walking for alms on uninterrupted alms round in Rajagaha, the Blessed One approached the residence of the Brahmin Agika Bharadvaja and stood to one side. The Brahmin Agika Bharadvaja saw the Blessed One standing for alms and addressed him in verse. One endowed with the triple knowledge of proper birth, of ample learning, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, might partake of this meal. Let's stop here for a moment. So the Buddha came to his house to beg for food. But when he saw the Buddha, he said, one with triple knowledge, Te Vijja, these Brahmins, they consider themselves to have the triple knowledge of proper birth, that means Brahmin birth, of ample learning, is in the Vedas, the Brahmin books. And he says such a person, maybe he can take this meal. And the Buddha said, even though one mutters many chants, one does not become a Brahmana by birth. If one is rotten within and defiled, with followers gained by fraudulent means, one who has known, let's stop here for a moment. So the Buddha is saying, because these Brahmins, they do a lot of chanting, they have a lot of mantras, secret mantras. So the Buddha said, not by chance, by chanting, does one become a Brahmana. Brahmana here, although it is also used for the Brahmin clan, but originally Brahmana means a holy man. So the Buddha is saying, you are not a holy man just because you chant many chants. Maybe you are rotten within. And the Buddha continued, one who has known his past abodes, who sees heaven and the plains of woe, who has reached the destruction of birth, a sage consummate in direct knowledge. By means of these three kinds of knowledge, one is a triple knowledge Brahmana. This one, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, might partake of this rice meal. So the Buddha is saying, if one knows his past lives, and can see heaven and the woeful plains, this the Buddha calls, and reach the destruction of the round of rebirths. Then the Buddha calls this the triple knowledge. The Buddha said, such a person is worthy of the meal. Then the Brahmin Agika Bharadvaja said, let Master Gautama eat. The worthy is a Brahmana. Or is a Brahmin, he says. The Master Gautama is also like us, a Brahmin. And the Buddha said, food over which verses have been sung is not fit to be eaten by me. This Brahmin is not the principle observed by those who see. The enlightened ones reject such food over which verses have been sung. As such a principle exists, O Brahmin, this is their rule of conduct. Serve with other food and drink, consummate one, the great seer, with asavas or taints destroyed, and remorse still, for he is the field for one seeking merit. When this was said, the Brahmin Agika Bharadvaja said to the Blessed One, magnificent Master Gautama, magnificent. In the same way, he also took refuge and asked to go forth, and later he also became an Arahant. So you see, it's interesting here, the Buddha says, Buddhas don't chant verses for their meal. It's not like the Brahmins nowadays, some monks, they do chanting to to get the food, to earn a livelihood like that. So the Buddha says, real monks don't do that.